Hello you lot, Miller Corner here and welcome back once again to the ER5 project. You may remember last time that we did the black mirrors and painted the clocks black as well, and frankly I love them. I think that was a brilliant couple of additions to the bike and they've nicely updated and sharpened the look of it. Now we're moving, however, to the back of the bike, and frankly probably the ugliest bit of the whole ER5, and that's the number plate bracket. It's this kind of big ugly plastic thing that holds this big ugly number plate and it has the GB sticker on it in my case, and yeah, not very elegant, but for a 90s bike it's sadly quite period correct. Thankfully though, it's fairly easy to rectify with one of these. This is a tail tidy, and it's actually one of the most common modifications that people make to their bikes. It bolts up on here, it holds your number plate, it holds your indicators as well, and it does the same job, but I think you can agree, much more elegantly and stylishly than a big, ungainly, ugly plastic thing. However, unlike a lot of bikes where it's simply a bracket made of plastic you can unbolt, bolt this in and jobs are good, on the ER5 the bit that holds the number plate is actually built into the plastic rear wheel mudguard. Kind of difficult to explain, but to even get to it we have got to take off the rear fairing. So without further ado, I'm going to read the Haynes manual unlike last time, and then let's crack on. So even I know that the first thing you have to do is unlock this, and that allows the seat to come off. Take a seat. I'll see myself out on that one. So now the seat's off, it's actually blatantly obvious what we need to do to take this rear fairing off. So we've got these Phillips headed bolts that are holding the rear fairing on, and basically all we're going to do is undo them. Or we can do the YouTuber thing of this. And just like that, the 4 bolts are out. And if you don't have the benefit of YouTuber snapping power to do this, I am advised that a ratcheting screwdriver is an absolute honey to have to be able to do jobs like that. The rear handle has to come off, and that's held on by these 2 bolts. Once again, you'll be pleased to know that those of you blessed with YouTuber powers can just do this. Once again, if you don't have the power of being able to do that, I am told that a 13mm socket does do a rather good job of removing those bolts. For the benefit of mere mortals, I've undone those myself rather than just snapping it off, you know, just to make you feel a bit more good about yourself. So that just lifts away. I'm trying to get a handle on the situation. Here all week, folks. We can actually lift this off. Come on. Hey! Fair play. Huh? Huh? I'll stop now. Your naked bike isn't truly naked until you don't have a rear fairing or a seat. This plastic mudguard here is this entire bit, and it goes up in there, and this is your tiny bit of under seat storage, which is actually quite useful. So what I think we're going to do is fairly simple. We do have to keep the reflector there, unfortunately that's a legal requirement, but we don't have to keep the GB sticker, and I'm not keeping that. So what we're going to do is basically cut all the way along here. You see where this divot's in here? We're going to cut all the way straight along here, and then we can bolt it straight up through onto there, stick some nuts through it and some bolts through it. So in the spirit of the tail tidy, we're going to start tidying the tail, on which we're going to then use the tail tidy to tidy. Yeah. Now the start of that is going to be getting the number plate out of the way, so we've got more of an idea of what we're actually cutting off. Now I was riding the bike yesterday, even in the slightly damp, slightly blowy conditions we had, and oh, so much fun. That does mean, however, that it is incredibly dirty, but quite a bit of the dirty rear end we're actually going to be taking off, obviously, to do the tail tidy, so that's why I deliberately didn't worry too much about cleaning it, and that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. That can come off comme ça. That is now off comme ça. The next bit of the rear end is one of the bits that is actually going to make it onto the new tail tidy, and it's these lovely LED indicators. There's just a couple of 14mm nuts tucked up in there, and then they're off. So let's do that. Tea has arrived. We'll pause this for a minute. Tea drank, the indicators are unbolted, unplugged and removed before the bolts holding the bracket that secures the rear assembly is also unbolted. With 2 sneaky bolts under the fuse box undone, unbolting the brake light releases the assembly entirely and it simply lifts away. This is actually quite reassuring.
I now know if we mess this up,
we can get another one. If someone's breaking one, we can get one.
That's right.
And that's the key. Everything should be fail safe.
Hoping not to require a fail-safe, we confirm that we're cutting along the indented line just below the reflector. I hold the thing steady and it's time to cue the power tool music. The grinder cuts through the plastic like butter, and before too long
cutting stuff with an angle grinder, 11 out of 10 would recommend.
With the old number plate assembly removed, the mudguard gets sanded smooth to tidy it up and thoroughly cleaned before being refitted.
It's good to know that we can replace that bit though if ever you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, what about if you want to put the bike back to stat weight now? Hang on.
The thick coating of dirt gets scrubbed off, and while we're on the theme of tidying up, the mudguard assembly and brake light get bolted back in, and the first eyeball of the tail tidy proves successful.
Oh, stop it. Look at that!
A protruding moulding in the mudguard gives us something to line the tail tidy up with, and once we're happy that it's square, 2 pilot holes are drilled through the tail tidy and into the plastic. Bolts are pushed through into securing nylock nuts and tightened up before we use a spirit level to make absolutely sure it's straight.
I was going to try and kid that this has all happened in the same day, but frankly dying camera batteries and running out of time means that that wasn't ever going to happen. You might notice the hair's changed and yeah, it's a different day. Anyway, moving swiftly on, the biggest change we had with the number plate bracket being lowered down is the indicators wouldn't reach without the wiring basically being stretched across the back and it looking awful. So Dad, who you can actually see in the back of this shot because I thought he was out of frame but he isn't, has extended the wiring for the indicators so that they're going to tuck neatly behind the tail tidy, and the number plate itself meanwhile is the original plastic crappy thing that probably came on the bike when it was new, and I'm not having that. So inspired by the Super Seicento, we've got a new pressed metal number plate to go on instead. So without further ado, as Dad is still moving around in the back of the shot, let's crack on and actually get this finished.
The indicators are next, getting slotted into the tail tidy, bolted up, and the wiring fed up the bracket before being cable tied neatly in place. The wiring is redone, insulated, and
Hey!
Did it work, huh?
Something I've done works.
the left-hand indicator joins it. Then it's the rear fairing fitted with the help of this awesome ratcheting screwdriver. Next, it's the grab handle.
Shall I get a socket?
Yeah.
How big are they?
13, I would think. Yeah.
Are you giving a hard guess at 13?
Yeah.
If this is wrong, that's on camera. Right, for your mechanical integrity, this is a 13mm socket. You reckon that's going on? You can keep your job.
With Dad's job safe, the number plate is next, measured up to the millimetre for spacing and straightness. Small pencil marks are made on the back to give us a guide for where to drill it.
That's it. Now what you do...
Oh shit. Oh, good catch.
That was well saved.
Oh. Should we buy a lottery ticket?
Thanking my lucky stars for long tripod legs, I drill into the front of the plate to avoid marking it, then screw it on, refit the seat, and we're done.
That's it.
Yes. Take a seat. So Dad's just fitting a new horn onto his lovely Bandit, and would you like to tell the ladies and gentlemen what this horn is off?
It's a Fiat, a little yellow Fiat that once went to Poland.
It is indeed. It's a Seicento horn. How good is that?
Well, get out of the way for that, can't they?
So I bloody would have blown my eardrums out. Tail tidy? Done. Not quite as simple on the ER5 as a lot of bikes where you can just bolt off the factory arrangement and then bolt on your tail tidy, but for the fact it only actually took a couple of hours of not very difficult work and the fact it looks so much better for about 15 quid, you can't complain. I think it's a fantastic mod to do, and it's easy to see why the tail tidy is one of the first mods that people do to their bikes. Next, we're back to the front of the Kawasaki to get some lighting updated, but for now, thanks very much for watching everybody, and have a brilliant rest of your day. Catch you soon, and have a good one.